Good morning. We're here with Alba Adamo, Group Director, Hispanic Marketing at Coca-Cola USA, who has joined us at Hispanicize and has been on a bunch of different panels telling us everything Coca-Cola is up to in the Hispanic market. Alba, tell us what is new in Coke's efforts to reach Hispanic consumers. What's at the heart of what Coca-Cola is doing now?
Well, first of all, Cynthia, thank you and great to be here. It's been a wonderful conference and it's been great to share our story. So what is at the core? When we think about the Hispanic marketing efforts here in North America, everything starts with the vision of our business, that mission which is to provide happiness. So the core, what we're doing with Hispanics here in the US is really understand what are those passion points, what are those motivations, and make those special connections be relevant to them. In particularly this year, we are thrilled because it's a FIFA World Cup year, and sports is a huge passion for Hispanics. So what we're doing is leveraging that passion point and making sure that we give everyone the opportunity to interact, to experience, to be part of the celebration.
And I know for the Super Bowl, not just World Cup, but for the Super Bowl, Coca-Cola was present with a big ad that included a large Hispanic component. What was that like?
Oh, that was an amazing story. It was, and everything began with authenticity, the authentic stories. And when we look at the United States today, we are a melting pot. So it was a great opportunity to share the point of view and bring the different ethnicities that today are reshaping America to sing and to honor this beautiful country and in such a special event here, the Super Bowl. So that was a great experience.
Coca-Cola was one of the early marketers to target Hispanic consumers directly. How has that evolved given all the changes in the Hispanic population, the growth, the changing landscape? How has Coca-Cola evolved with the marketplace?
Well, if you look at the US today, the marketplace, multicultural consumers have become the total market. And when we look at Hispanics, we are already on the third generation. We used to look from the lens of acculturation, the unacculturated, acculturated, and bicultural. But when we look at that level of acculturation permeates based on time and context. Right now, what we're doing is having the flexibility because the consumer target, it is a moving target, and based on the context, we connect with them differently and give them the opportunity to choose in which medium or language they want to be engaged.
Now that you mentioned which medium, digital media has pretty much taken over in the Hispanic market. It hasn't yet put traditional TV and radio to one side, but it is taking a much more active role. How are you incorporating that into the media mix?
We are beginning with mobile first, mobile and digital first, especially with Hispanic consumers, and especially us looking at that insight. Hispanics, we like to connect and we like to be connected. So leveraging the flexibility of mobile to communicate and to let them be a part of the conversation is at the core now.
Brand ambassadors. We were speaking earlier, Coca-Cola has really activated popular and very relevant Latinos as brand ambassadors. What kind of results or reaction have you seen from consumers, Hispanics and even non-Hispanics alike? What are you hearing and seeing?
Well, first of all, it begins with these ambassadors that have similar values and connect with what we're looking as a whole, and they are the real story. So what we're seeing, and I use the World Cup as an example, music is very important. It's like soccer and music go together. So we have a very robust music platform for the World Cup. We engage this Brazilian artist that has a very unique story. He was adopted. He's from Brazil and was adopted by an American couple. So he helped us perform the song, and the name of the song is The World Is Ours, and it has a whole theme of how World Cup helps connect the world, especially in thinking Brazil is everyone's country and soccer is everyone's sport. He helped us put together the song. But then if we were really being authentic to the message that is together we create the World Cup and it's global, so what we said is how interesting would it be if we work with different ambassadors across the globe that have similar values to our values of the company, but also have the passion for soccer, and give them the opportunity to take this song and adapt it to the rhythm and sound of the culture. And the one that we were able to see here was Carlos Vives. He did the bilingual song, and the name in Spanish is La Copa de Todos, where he sings with David Corey and gives that flair of the tropical, the vallenato, the very Colombian rhythm, and has become an ambassador. He said, soccer for me was very important growing up. I wanted to be able to share that, my passion for soccer, and connect that with the rhythm. And now we have this amazing song. So I think that is the example of a true ambassador, when they really are connected to what you want to do, they are connected to the message, and they believe in that purpose.
Have you done something similar with the World Cup song in other countries? What are some of the initiatives you have underway?
Yes. Okay, we did in Mexico. We wanted to do the remix, but that was going to be connect to the population. So the local team in Mexico engaged Party Cantu, and they also engaged We Sing. And they did the remixes with We Sing, Party Cantu, and David Corey, the Brazilian artist. So that's what is playing in Mexico, and also we're leveraging here in the US. So we have in Spanish the Carlos Vives bilingual version, and then we have the We Sing and Party Cantu, and there are the Arabic version, the Chinese version. We have 19 different versions, and the beauty is the same song. It is with David, it is with the samba rhythm, but it incorporates, it integrates the rhythms of other parts of the world, and of course their singers.
That's a huge production.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about you. What has been your trajectory in the Hispanic market, and especially at Coke?
Well, I am originally, I was born and raised in Colombia, and I came here when I finished high school to learn English. So I came first to Miami. I learned English at Miami-Dade Community College, and I went the hospitality route. So I have then transitioned to FIU in the hospitality management program. The first 10 years of my career I spent in the hospitality business, and I've been at Coke for the last 15 years. But I always say that the hospitality business gave me that perspective, that operation perspective, and really taught me teamwork and the differences of people. Then I joined Coke in Atlanta 15 years ago. I spent the first couple of years in public affairs and communication, did that transition. Then I went back to sales. In the hotel business, I was in catering sales, spent in sales like 5 years, working with international customers. And then I was invited to go to the Latin America group, where I was Director of Revenue Growth Management, and then led the shopper marketing capability in LATAM. And then a couple of months ago was invited to join Coca-Cola North America to lead Hispanic marketing.
How important is it for a brand like Coca-Cola to have a very targeted, very structured team targeting Latino consumers?
Oh, extremely important. What we know the importance of Hispanics in this country. I mean, like, we are almost a third of the population. So it's very important to have a team that represents that consumer base, that understands the consumer base, and also that can help integrate our marketing strategies to ensure that we reach the total population, but also understand the nuances and the differences of Hispanics, so that we can have targeted programs that connect emotionally and that are relevant with them.
So basically, it's not a total market, just a broad, generic strategy.
No, it's a dual multicultural strategy that understands the universal insights, which are the total market insights, but also goes deeper across the different segments. In my case, I lead the Hispanic marketing segment to connect with them. So we work very closely with the brands, because when you think about the beverage preferences, they have different dynamics, and those dynamics, some are cultural, but a lot are universal. So it's being able to reach the total population, but have those individual targeted programs and execution according to the context.
Millennials. Everybody is talking about millennials, Gen Z, what media they're consuming. Are they living more of an English or more of a Hispanic? How do you see that population and how does it fit in with Coke's target audience?
Well, first of all, it's a very interesting population. It's the whole millennials, it's bicultural, they consume in English, but they also are very true to their values. They want to preserve that heritage, they want to make that grassroots, and they want to make it on their own terms. So what we do at Coca-Cola as part of the multicultural team, we have a cross-cultural team that focuses on teens, youth, and millennials. So they help us look at the different platforms because for them, it's not as the way we look at, that is the Hispanics, African American, Asian. They are global, they are cultural. So for them, it's cross-cultural. So these teams help us, and we also have a center of excellence team that is helping us gather all the insights, the data. So we are constantly engaging them. We have a panel and we talk to them on a regular basis because the trends, they go across and the trends are being shaped by all of them. So it's for us to understand and be at the forefront with them and adjust our strategies according to what connects with them. And for this, digital is phenomenal. I mean, we have a great platform with Coca-Cola that is called Alba, and it's all digital, and it allows them the opportunity to interact and help shape the content.
Now that you mention a panel that you speak to on a regular basis, research, how important is it? How has Coke used research to guide this whole strategy and the whole multicultural landscape?
Well, research is at the core. Everything that starts with the data, insights, but understanding those insights and make it actionable. And it's a combination of quantitative research and qualitative research. We combine them. We do a lot of ethnography studies where we are interacting and we're asking questions, the panels, the focus groups, and based on that, we start grouping what are the trends, what are the commonalities. So we focus on the commonalities across the different segments, and they are the ones, these commonalities, that help shape our different strategies.
Have you found any data that you would call shocking, overly surprising, anything that said, wow, we didn't expect this?
You know, we were with the folks at Google like a month ago, and we were like having this whole discussion as far as digital, how are millennials, how are they consuming their content, because they consume most of the content in English. And something that was shocking to me that we learned through the Google team was that actually most of the content digital, the short, quick content videos, the preference is in Spanish because they want to make sure that they keep their language, that they understand the language in the real context. So that was one of the insights that was shocking to me.
That's definitely interesting, something to keep monitoring.
Exactly, because we were like, well, if they consume the content in English, they were like, actually, Manny from Google stood up and said, Spanish, mostly Spanish.
That's definitely interesting. Coca-Cola has been very big on the sports front to connect with Hispanics. Obviously football, but I know you've been doing a lot of things with NASCAR as they also try to grow their Hispanic preference. Can you tell us a bit about how sports figures into?
Sure. Well, sports is for Hispanics is a key passion point. I mean, and for us, and I'm going to go specifically with World Cup with soccer. Soccer is the family sport. Of course, the male, they are actively playing and involved, but this is the game. When there is a game to watch, the whole family comes together. So what we are doing with that is leveraging that opportunity, especially with the FIFA World Cup being in Brazil, to connect the passion for the sport, the togetherness, because it brings the family together, and also champions that healthy, active living, and champion and help mom with the kids that soccer, while it is a sport and they are being active, is also fun. So analyzing what are the values and what does the sport, what is at the core of the sport, and make that connection with what is important to our consumers, and that magic intersection where our brand also plays a role.
Over the last couple of days, we've heard words like ambicultural, hybrid-cultural, cross-cultural. Is there one that you would say applies more to Coca-Cola, and what do you think of all of them in general?
I think it should be like global, culturally relevant, because right now we live in this melting pot, and I think there's been a lot of debates as far as what is the term. And personally, my opinion is that the term is driven by the consumers, and it's being able to adapt to have a marketing strategy that is very clear on what is your brand's ambition and positioning, where does your brand connect with that consumer behavior and that attitude, and then having the flexibility to adapt and go deeper according to the differences. So if you have a very robust strategy, then that gives you the flexibility to connect according to the segment. I think that's the way it works. The words are probably going to change a lot in the next couple of years, but it's just having the flexibility to adapt your marketing to the different targets.
What would you say was Coca-Cola's biggest challenge in making that connection or reaching that engagement with the Hispanic consumers?
Well, it is for us, as I think here in North America, is understanding that Latinos, while in Latin America, are one thing, and when we come to this country, to this amazing melting pot, yes, we are Latinos, we have the core values, but we adapt to the context in which we live. So for us, it's being very strategic and very clear that it's not taking the marketing from Latin America and applying it to the United States. It's understanding what are those values and what are the needs when that Hispanic, that Latino consumer is in the context of the U.S. So staying very focused that it's not taking Latin America and putting it here, but understanding and evolving it. What does it mean here? What does it mean? How do we need to communicate and engage? What is important in this new environment, in this content?
What advice do you have for some of those clients that are either just getting into the Hispanic market or that are still on the fence saying, do I, don't I? How do I do it? Do I wait a couple of months and see what's going on? What words of wisdom do you have for them?
Well, I will tell them that they really need to understand, based on their brand, what is the connection with the segments, and to put together a strategy. It doesn't have that it is not a one size fits all, because even for Hispanic, it's not a one size fits all. It's understanding the target, and if they need to prioritize, understand what is the size of the opportunity, and start focusing on the segment that is going to reach the greatest benefit and impact for them. And then they can go to their businesses, to their companies, to show the proof and show, look at the difference when we made that meaningful connection. And the data and the numbers, I'm sure, will give them the flexibility to continue to tailor their approach.
From a media perspective, what would you tell them?
That there is multiple media vehicles that they need to evaluate. First of all, they need to be digital and mobile. They need to get into that digital and mobile media and understand the medium, and understand that there are different vehicles, and prioritize based on their target which one works best for them.
Great. Well, Alba, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure some of Hispanicized participants will find your words very important and very relevant.
Thank you, Cynthia, and thank you to Hispanicize.